Hey everyone! Today we're talking about the rise and expansion of the Visigothic kingdom, one of the most interesting chapters in early European history. It all started when a massive wave of migration swept through Western Europe. Between 407 and 409 AD, a coalition of Germanic tribes, including the Vandals, Alans, and Suebi, crossed the frozen Rhine River, storming through modern-day France and spilling into the Iberian Peninsula. Meanwhile, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, made history in 410 by sacking Rome and capturing Galla Placidia, the sister of Emperor Honorius. Alaric's successor, Ataulf, took charge from 410 to 415 and turned his focus to Gaul and Hispania. He played a clever game of diplomacy, pitting rival Roman and Germanic factions against each other while securing key cities like Narbonne and Toulouse by 413. After marrying Placidia, he struck a deal with Honorius to help reclaim Hispania from other invading tribes. This was a turning point that set the stage for the Visigoths to become more than just wanderers. They were now key players in the region. By 418, King Wallia was rewarded with lands in the Garona Valley, where the Visigoths settled under Roman arrangements. Instead of outright ownership, they likely controlled taxes collected from the local population. Operating from their new capital at Toulouse, the Visigoths maintained independence and soon began expanding into Roman territories as the Western Empire weakened. Under King Theodoric I, they faced off against Roman forces and their Hunnic mercenaries, initially suffering defeat at Narbonne in 436. However, in 439, they scored a major victory at the Battle of Toulouse. Their involvement in the defense against Attila the Hun at the Battle of the Catalonian Plains in 451 cemented their role as a dominant power, though Theodoric lost his life in that battle. While the Visigoths were solidifying their position, the Vandals took control of North Africa, capturing Carthage in 439, and the Suebi carved out territory in Hispania. The Roman Emperor Avitus responded by sending the Visigoths into Hispania, where Theodoric II defeated the Suebi king Reciarius in 456. The Visigoths brutally sacked cities in Galatia, wiping out parts of the population and even targeting churches, possibly because the clergy supported the Suebi. By then, the Visigoths had taken control of major areas, including Hispania Baetica, Carthaginiensis, and parts of Lusitania. In the following years, the Visigoths struck more deals with the Roman emperors. In 461, they received Narbonne in exchange for military support, but this sparked revolts among Roman forces, leading to internal clashes that lasted until 465. By 466, Euric, the youngest son of Theodoric I, took the throne after killing his older brother. Euric expanded Visigothic territory in both Gaul and Hispania. He defeated the Suebi in Lusitania, captured Merida in 469, and took Tarraconensis in 472, marking the end of Roman rule in Spain. By 476, he controlled much of southern Gaul, including Arles and Marseille. Euric's success was partly due to support from local Roman aristocrats, who served as administrators and generals under him. The Visigothic kingdom officially became independent when Emperor Julius Nepos recognized Euric's authority in 475, granting lands south of the Loire and west of the Rhone. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476, Euric quickly secured Provence, solidifying Visigothic control. By 500, the Visigoths, still centered in Toulouse, dominated southern Gaul and most of Hispania, except for the Suebic kingdom in Galicia and a few regions controlled by independent Iberian tribes, like the Basques and Cantabrians. Euric's son, Alaric II, introduced new laws called the Breviarium Alarici and held a church council in Agde. However, tensions rose with the Franks, led by King Clovis I, who had already taken over northern Gaul. After briefly quelling a rebellion in Tarraconensis, Alaric II faced another Frankish attack in 507, this time allied with the Burgundians. He was killed at the Battle of Visigothic, and Toulouse fell, leaving the Visigoths clinging to their last Gallic stronghold, Septimania. Following Alaric II's death, his illegitimate son, Gesalic, took power but was quickly ousted by Theodoric the Great of the Ostrogoths. Gesalic fled, tried to regroup, but was defeated and killed in Barcelona. Theodoric installed his grandson Alaric as king, but since he was still a child, the Ostrogothic general, Theudas, acted as regent. After Theodoric's death, Alaric gained full control, though his reign ended abruptly when he was defeated by the Franks and murdered in 531. Theudas then became king and pushed Visigothic expansion further into southern Spain, but he too was assassinated after a failed campaign in Africa. The kingdom descended into chaos under King Attila I, leading the Byzantine Emperor Justinian I to seize the coastal province of Spania. After Attila's death, Visigothic took power, but even he couldn't push the Byzantines out of Spain, eventually acknowledging their control. Then came King Liuvigild, who ruled from 569 to 586, and proved to be one of the most effective leaders. He reclaimed Cordova after a revolt, defeated the Suebi in Galicia, and pacified rebellious tribes in the north. He even founded new cities like Nicopolis and Victoriacum, becoming the first Visigothic king to do so. Liuvigild tried to unify the kingdom by appointing his son Hermenegild as co-ruler, but this led to a civil war when Hermenegild converted to Nicene Christianity. After defeating and executing his son, Liuvigild completed the conquest of the Iberian Peninsula by annexing the Suebic kingdom in 585. By the end of Liuvigild's reign, the Visigothic kingdom had become a dominant force in the region, maintaining peace with the Franks through strategic marriages while expanding its territory and consolidating power. And after the reign of Liuvigild, the Visigothic kingdom entered a period of consolidation and religious transformation. Liuvigild's son, Ricard, succeeded him and is remembered for converting the Visigoths to Nicene Christianity, which helped unify the kingdom. Subsequent kings, such as Sisebutt and Suintila, strengthened the kingdom's defenses and expanded its territories, but internal struggles and external threats began to weaken its stability. By the time King Reciswinth came to power, the kingdom was still strong but increasingly fragile, setting the stage for the challenges faced by his successor, Wamba. And after King Reciswinth, Wamba became the ruler of the Visigoths. Right away, he faced problems like rebellions led by Flavius Paulus in Tarraconensis and Hilderic in Nîmes. To handle these threats, Wamba created strict laws that made military leaders, including dukes, counts, and bishops, respond to dangers or face harsh punishments. Despite his efforts, Wamba was peacefully removed from power, and King Euric took over. King Euric changed some of Wamba's strict laws, but kept the military organized. He also made sure his son-in-law, Egica, would become the next king. Egica had trouble with the Bishop of Toledo, which led to a revolt. The 16th Council of Toledo stopped the rebellion and strengthened the king's power. However, Egica also passed harsh laws against Jews, accusing them of plotting against the kingdom and forcing many into slavery. By 698, Egica made his son, Witiza, co-ruler. Details about Witiza's time as king are unclear, but his reign ended in civil war, with different groups fighting for power. This fighting weakened the kingdom and left it open to attacks. In 711, Muslims invaded Spain, led by Tariq ibn Ziyad, a Berber general under Musa bin Nusayr, the governor of North Africa. Tariq brought about 7,000 soldiers across the Strait of Gibraltar. The Visigoths were already divided, and King Roderick was busy fighting in the north. Some legends say Count Julian of Ceuta helped the Muslims invade because he was angry at Roderick, though this is not proven. The main battle happened at the Guadalete River, where Roderic's forces were betrayed by their own men. This led to a huge defeat and Roderic's death. With the Visigothic army destroyed, Muslim forces quickly took over cities like Toledo. In 712, Musa arrived with more troops, capturing Merida and moving north to Saragossa and Leon. By 716, most of Spain was under Muslim control, except for a few areas like Asturias and Septimania. In Asturias, a nobleman named Pelagius started a rebellion. His victory at the Battle of Covadonga in 718 began the Christian fight to take back Spain, called the Reconquista. Some Visigothic nobles joined local leaders in Asturias and Septimania, mixing their traditions to create new forms of government. Resistance also continued in the Pyrenees, where the Franks set up a border region called the Marca Hispanica between 760 and 785 to protect against Muslim attacks. Muslims settled mainly in southern Spain, while Christians, though treated as second-class citizens, were allowed to practice their religion. The Visigoths had settled along the Garonne River and in Roman cities like Merida, Toledo, and Barcelona. Over time, they spread into rural areas of Castile, Leon, and Galicia. After defeating the Suabi kingdom, they settled along the Tagus River and in areas north of Lisbon. The Visigoths also built new cities, which was unusual after the fall of Rome. King Liuvigild founded Nicopolis in 578 to celebrate his victory over the Franks. It had a palace and a mint, but later fell apart after the Muslim conquest. Liuvigild also built Victoriacum to mark his win over the Basques, while his son Ricard created Lugo in Asturias after fighting the Asturians. In 621, King Suenthala built Alagicus to defend against the Basques. Another city, Beira, may have been built later, possibly modern-day Montoro. Despite what some might think, the Visigoths kept many Roman traditions alive. Cities like Merida had Roman-style aqueducts and baths, which later influenced Muslim architecture in Spain. Archaeological finds in Nicopolis and Toledo show Byzantine-style designs. The Visigoths were skilled artists, as seen in treasures like the Garazar crowns. Education and learning were also important. Isidore of Seville wrote an encyclopedia called Etymologies, which became famous. Other scholars, such as Eugenius I of Toledo and Theodulf of Orleans, studied theology, math, and astronomy. Even King Sisebut wrote poetry about astronomy and supported education. Though the Visigothic kingdom fell to the Muslims, its legal system and culture left a strong legacy. Laws like the Liber Iudiciorum united the Gothic and Roman people under fair rules and gave women rights to own property. The government shifted from military to civilian control, helping build a more organized system. The Visigothic influence lasted through the Reconquista. Their mix of Roman, Gothic, and local traditions shaped medieval Spain's laws, buildings, and education, showing their ability to adapt and survive even after their kingdom ended.